never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, folks. How are you? I've got a bit of a scratchy voice. The throat is not as good as one would have hoped, and last night it was not good at all. So I thought I'd climb on this morning and give you a bit of an update on what's going on. And I'm sort of glad that I didn't do a show last night because I've got to be honest, I detest the budget. I detest those people who are sitting there delivering the budget, and while the others listening to it have to be there to listen to it, I guess we'll listen to the budget reply tonight and see what comes from Angus and his mates at the Liberal Party. Don't hold out great hope, do you? It's pretty sad. And I've got to say, if you read the notes in the show, I started writing the forward to this at 8:09 this morning, and here it is 10 o'clock. The phone has not stopped ringing. It's got texts, it's got emails, and I've spoken to a number of people who are extremely concerned. Now, I'm not at all surprised they're extremely concerned. What I am surprised about, and a bit encouraged, I must say, is that 99% of these people are not usually on our side. All of a sudden, I'm getting phone calls or texts querying, Carl, my God, what do these lying bastards think they're doing? How do they think they can get away with telling us lies so blatantly to our faces for so many months, years? Albo, the great quote, he will go to his grave with this on his gravestone. For the 50th time, we're not going to be having a go at negative gearing. Well, they have. They've lied. And that seems to have woken, for whatever reason, this lie, above all others, seems to have woken a great many people up. And they've woken up to a disturbing reality. What can we do about it, Carl? How do we kick them out like Goff got kicked out? All of them, to a T, have asked this morning, how do we get rid of this government? They are not listening to the people. They are telling lies, blatant lies to the people. They're not explaining. They're saying one thing and doing the absolute opposite, including gaslighting us as a nation by saying, oh, no, we're reducing spending while they increase spending. And I said to them, well, you can't use the mechanism that was used by Malcolm Fraser in the dismissal, if you like, because the Governor-General is no longer appointed by the Queen. The Governor-General of this country is appointed by the Prime Minister. That means she works for him. So there isn't a lawful path that you can complain down, as far as I'm aware. We'll go looking a little bit further today and see what we can find, but it has been my understanding that there is no lawful path where the people of this nation can say, hang on, this government is working against us. This government is deliberately doing things that are going to make we as a nation our lives hard. It's going to make us as a nation less prosperous. It's going to make the debt that's placed upon our children and our grandchildren monumental in scale. Just at a time where we're introducing AI and having mass job layoffs because all these smart people who've been working so hard to encourage AI have just been replaced by the creation they created. Is that a right way of saying it? You know what I mean? So to those people who are waking up today and saying, what can we do? What can we do? Well, I can tell you there really is only one thing left to do, and that does involve going back to Canberra, but it'll involve going back to Canberra at a time where the politicians are there, and we have to take back our parliament. That is the only option there is. Now, I've said that word out loud. Is there a stomach for that? Does the nation have the balls for that? I don't. I'd have my doubts based on current situations. I'd have my doubts. Instead, the nation will sit here and get screwed by this Labor government. If you have an investment property or two, you're going to get screwed. If you've got renters that are really good renters to you and you're happy to keep them, they're great people who always pay their rent on time, yada, yada, yada. But the simple fiscal reality of what's going to happen now means that without you being able to claim anything on that house as a deduction because you're renting it out, you're going to have to change the way you do things as an owner. That means there's going to be a whole heap more Airbnb houses on the market at a cheaper rate, but there'll be no long-term rentals. So this is going to cruel the rental market yet again, add more pressure to an already bursting at the seams market. But the morons in Canberra, in power at the moment, who've lied to us saying, oh, no, we're not going to touch negative gearing. Oh, no, we're not going to, for the 50th time. No, we're not going to touch it. And then to turn around and lie like that and do exactly the opposite is disgusting. That is not any kind of government I would expect any other government in this world would expect to deal with and expect to have honest dealings with. Anthony Albanese, Jim Chalmers, Penny Wong and the cohort of criminals that they call the Labor Party have shown themselves to the world to be the liars that they are. Now, the difference is the people they've shown that to in the world are probably going to applaud them for it. Because, of course, the people they're actually working for and playing to are not you and I, are not the people of this nation. No, we're talking about the parasites at the top here. The World Health Organization, which is about to come and play another great role in our lives, ladies and gentlemen, be prepared. The World Health Organization, the UN, amongst others, are all salivating now that Albanese and co have broken whatever final band of belief or trust people in this nation had that they would be doing the right thing for the people of this nation. That's gone. That's gone. And now this little turd and this woman who has rorted the system to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now Albo, and that I think is the real Albo, picture of the real Albo, because God knows the one we've got at the moment is just a mask. But that piece of filth, Albanese, is trying to protect that piece of filth. Annika Wells, I don't know why, but here he is trying.
The money, we have IPIA, we have an independent parliamentary expenses authority who's in charge of this. She referred herself to it, which was appropriate, and it was appropriate that she pay back the money that has been done.
She broke the rules.
And she has paid back the money in accordance with the rules.
Doesn't it send a bad message to the public, though, that if you get through the wrong thing and you get caught, you just pay it back?
She has done what the rules require. Annika Wells is a very good minister, doing extraordinary work, and I.
Extraordinary work ripping us off. All right, look, it was only a trip to Adelaide, but it's so much else with her, isn't it? It's cricket trips, it's tennis trips, and not just, she's not sitting up in the nosebleed section where you or I would be. She's sitting courtside or in an air-conditioned box sipping on champagne with a significant other. I don't begrudge the significant other going to those events with her. I just don't see why we have to pay for it. See that at all. But there's a lot of strange things we don't see going on in this friggin' world, unfortunately. And Albanese and his crew are responsible for practically all of it. It's unfair to hinge on with all of it. This is a problem of successive governments. This is a problem of successive flavours of governments. This is a problem of having a uni party that has been working for a foreign belligerent controlling organisation, not the Australian people. And while I blame all of them, it is we, the Australian people, that are complicit in having this done to us. We've only just come to realise, many of us, that it is being done. That's up to us. That's on us. Because for so many years, we've taken the easy path. They've dangled the carrot and we've followed the path. Because we're lazy, in most part, I believe. We will take the path of least resistance. And I used to wear that as a badge of honour, but I've become more aware in the last 5 or 10 years that that isn't a way forward. Taking the path of least resistance is not always the best path. Sometimes the resistance is required to build up things like resilience, to give you knowledge and understanding and awareness. But if you plough on like a bull at a gate, like I did for most of my life, you miss all of that, those nuances. You just tear a new arsehole and walk through it. Tear a hole in the gate and walk through it, whichever you'd prefer. So what do we do now? We've got ourselves in a position where we've got a unibrow government supported by a bleating, crying, whimpering, wounded Liberal National Party at the moment, who are madly trying to take on One Nation policies hand over fist, who are trying to look more and more like One Nation in a blue tie than any Labor person could ever look like a One Nation person in a red one. It's sad. It's pitiful. I have no respect for those politicians. They're already talking about getting rid of this Angus Taylor bloke as leader. Would they be putting Andrew Hastie up, do you think? Really? Andrew Hastie made a couple of tragic errors. In January this year was a big one. Not the biggest, I don't suspect, but it was a big one. When he came out and told everybody that he was going to vote against this new government legislation that was going to take away our freedoms, take away more guns, take away from we the people, but not actually take away anything from the friggin' criminals, the extremists that were being allowed into this country and to commit atrocities like what happened in Bondi. No. Instead, well, just on Bondi, we get a royal commission into Bondi, which has had one public sitting, and that was so that we could hear what was, without doubt, the most, well, up until Anzac Day, long-winded welcome to country and most inappropriate welcome to country up until Anzac Day that I'd ever heard. Apparently there have been some quiet sittings behind closed doors. Don't expect anything good to come out of it. Don't expect there to be any answers that'll come out of it. In fact, the Jewish community and all of their arms of propaganda have come to life immediately and in the last week have been criticising this Royal Commission in no uncertain terms. You've also seen a large ramping up of the stories of, oh, this Jewish woman was upset because another woman said something at a school day and she mentioned the word Jew, and now this woman's been charged with something for saying the word Jew. I don't know. The anti-Semitism is being created by those that are complaining most about anti-Semitism, is my look at what's going on here at the moment. Shut up. Move on. Stop being victims. That's what you do. I know you do it very, very well, but when you are confronted with actual truth, you require corrupt authority to support your position rather than fact. And one day that corrupt authority, one day soon, that corrupt authority isn't going to be there to support you anymore. You're going to need to pull on your big boy pants, your big girl pants. You're going to have to wipe up those tears, and you're going to have to move on. And that may well be moving out of Israel. Who knows? Wouldn't be the first country that everybody been kicked out of, would it now? Let's just be honest. Even the one created for them. But anyway, there's another story. I think what's going on here with our government is of such high levels of contempt that they cannot be allowed to stay in government. We need to find a lawful way that the people can push back against this government. And you don't have to say, oh, we're pushing back against the inflation, or we're pushing back against the triggers of negative gearing and whatnot, and the pressure that's going to push. No, you can push back on them because they are clearly liars. You cannot trust one word that comes out of these fuckers' mouths. If you were in any other work situation and you had a colleague lie to you as blatantly as these Labor and Liberal Party, they do it too, parliamentarians do, would you allow that person to continue working for you? The answer is no. They're bad for business. Who knows what lies they'll go and tell our partners overseas or our partners around the corner? Who knows what lies, what damage they will do to our reputation? And yet, we have some of the largest bald-faced liars fronting our national media who support those lies by not questioning them. These liars stand there in front of us on a daily basis, and we know they're lying, and they know we know. But they also know one other thing. They know we're not going to do anything about it. Boo-hoo, bad luck. Well, it's about time we did something about it. If you're as sick and tired of this as I am, and as sick and tired as the people who've contacted me this morning, and I'm sure they've contacted everybody else as well, the time is coming, folks. Coming real soon. And this budget might be a catalyst moving forward. We're going to have another show this evening. Cass Smith will be joining me to discuss the budget and the changes for trusts in particular. We'll also look at a few of the other things that are going to be impacting some of us, particularly if you're involved with trusts and investments. So that'll be back on tonight at around 6:30 with Cass Smith from Freedom Financial Solutions. So a couple of other things I want to touch on before I leave today. ARN, I haven't spoken much about it because so many of you get turned off by the idea of radio, but I find this just so funny. The top bosses at the one-time radio station giant ARN, this is the one that looked after Kyle and Jackie O until it all went tits up, found themselves in no man's land last week after a furious shareholders meeting staged a protest vote of more than 90% against the remuneration report. That means that 90% of the shareholders knocked back the report that said we're going to pay ourselves, the management's going to pay themselves more. The chairman of that company is a guy called Hamish McLennan. Now, Hamish appears to be overly troubled by whose land he's in, or doesn't seem to be. He got up and did a very solemn acknowledgement, welcome to country, paying his respects to the traditional landholders, the Gadigal people. Unfortunately, the AGM for ARN was held on the north side of Sydney. That isn't Gadigal country. That's some other Aboriginal mob's country. So they can't even get the welcome to country right. They got their asses handed to them, the management there, over the sacking of Kyle and Jackie O, the $26.5, nearly $27 million of revenue that they have lost. And that story has a little way to go yet, so there will be fun. Here is some news from Barry Young out of New Zealand, which, one might find encouraging initially. The Crown, Barry, for those of you who aren't sure, as the whistleblower who came out with all of the unredacted, unfiltered figures, if you like, of the New Zealand COVID vaccination rollout, and more particularly right down to the batch numbers, who died where, when, why, and which shot would be related to it. He was then charged, of course, because, well, you can't have this information getting out. Seems the Crown no longer wish to cross-examine him, though, on the vaccine mortality evidence that he provided, because it's devastating to their case. They will never look at the data. And this is what happens. They're going to go and get us in courts, and then where we think we're going to be able to introduce, this is what we fought over. You got upset because I released this data. They don't want to look at that data now. Now they're going to change it and make him look at, or make the court look at more obscure little things. So the Crown, or the government, is now stating that even if vaccines are proven to cause excess deaths, it is irrelevant. That's the Crown's argument. It is irrelevant if the vaccines caused more deaths. So he's suggested, as it's an election year in New Zealand, that the people have their say on just how irrelevant vaccine excess deaths are by contacting their local MP and seeing whether or not they place any value in that. Big holes are being torn in the COVID fuss in New Zealand, and that case with Barry is helping to do it, and he's a very, very brave man going forward. I mentioned earlier that we are going to have another interaction with the World Health Organization. God help us. This will be because of this bullshit hantavirus. Well, it's not a bullshit. It is a thing. And it is a known side effect of the COVID jab. We showed that in the show the other night, and you can see it in any of the safety documents put out by Pfizer or Moderna that state it quite clearly if you can be bothered to read it. Now, why are people so upset about it all? Well, they're upset because they think they're going to catch it. We've got 4 people, now apparently 6, coming back to Australia. I said in the show the other night that and at this time there were no plans to quarantine them anywhere other than their own home. But since then, that has now changed, and they are now going into a huge quarantine centre over in Western Australia. There'll be 4 to 6 of them there. They'll need to be there for 40 days. 42 days is the incubation period of this hantavirus. Now, people have been calling and saying, oh, God, Carl, they're going to get us again. They're going to get us again. They're going to get us again. Woo up. Hantavirus does not travel from human to human. It cannot travel from human to human. Doesn't matter if it gets put on a toilet seat and you sit on the toilet seat afterward. No, you won't catch it. Handrails, no, you won't catch it. There is no human to human transmission. No evidence of it, no nothing. So how did all those people get sick on the boat? Well, that boat was full of rat shit. This stuff comes from rats, and more particularly their poo. And once their poo is broken down and inhaled, which is essentially dust, when you get into a dusty place, you might inhale a bit of rat poo. That's essentially what's happened. Now, clearly the rats on board that particular vessel were a bit... No, I can't continue the farce. Remember this bloke? He's the bloke who said, "Oh, my God, we're desperate. The hantavirus is killing us all. It's getting really awful." Straight out of Central Casting, that fella. We've seen him before. Go back a few years. He's a crisis actor, and he was in hospital with COVID, and how bad the COVID thing is. Somebody told me yesterday that they were parachuting supplies onto this boat that's 50 metres off the mainland of, I don't know, wherever it is, somewhere in Spain. And they've got vision of these people wearing full oxygen kits like Halo parachuting in med supplies or some bloody thing to this ship. It is crazy. Now, a lot of this is all AI, and a lot of it is designed to ramp up your anxiety. All right, and I'm going to show you something now. So trucks are the big problem. Mice being released from trucks as they drive around Europe, and they're spreading the hantavirus in the mice. The mice are going to eat, the mice are going to poo, and you, my good friend, are going to cop it. They've even got a supporting video for it.
What the? Are those rats? Oh, no way. They keep coming out of there. Whoa, look at them. Jesus.
Just be aware. Rats the size of wallabies jumping out and not splattering any blood on the road. Don't be suckered, folks. But they're trying to ramp up the world level of anxiety with all of this. And if you are prone to believing bullshit when it comes through on your television screen, your tell-lie vision, then I don't know that I can help you much. But please, please do not freak out about such things. There is going to be some kind of an engineered breakout, have no doubt. They're going to try and push that as hard and as fast as they can. But always bear in mind that this thing cannot travel from human to human. It just cannot. It's fear porn. And they're doing exactly the same here as they did in COVID times. So don't do it. And they're ramping it up in a variety of other ways as well. So if you're not too worried about the mouse shit, then you might be really worried about what they're spraying on us. And they have been spraying Queensland, particularly, I think, in other southern places as well, pretty solidly. We have got shit days all this week. Last week wasn't too bad. But this week, and my throat, in part, I think they've sprayed us overnight again, is in part due to that, I'm sure. But what are they spraying us with? Well, the world tells us that right now, and I'll bring up the right one to show you, fungal spores are being injected into our cloud seeding operations. These are to do with, well, all sorts of different things, weather modification all the way down to helping us develop immunities against certain things. We'll talk more about that in another show, but I just wanted to touch base and let you know that they're now putting organics into our atmosphere. God help us. And they're also making some very, very switched on little bugs that are able to do some pretty involved listening and filming. We'll talk more about that. Probably not tonight, though, where we're going to discuss the budget and the bullshit surrounding that. So Cass Smith will be joining me from 6:30 tonight. I hope you can be part of it then, and a little bit of a catch-up for today. But I want you to go away and think about all these people who've texted me and rung and sent emails. Oh, what are we going to do, Carl? What are we going to do? Well, what are we going to do? What are you going to do? Because I know what I'm prepared to do, but one person alone can't do much. One person alone can unite others, maybe. And those who are united can unite more. There are plenty of those people around. Is now the time that we start looking for that kind of level of support, because we are not getting it from our government. We are not getting it from our opposition. And while One Nation are making headway, they are in no position to save us from this Albanese Labor catastrophe that will befall us before the next election. Can this country wait another 2.5 years to get rid of the Albanese government? I don't believe we can. What is the alternative? Well, there are a couple. I just know we can't wait 2 years, because there'll be nothing left of this country in 2 years. There's practically nothing left of it now. Our birth rate's shot now. Our immigration numbers are so far through the roof that we may never recover unless we start now. What are you prepared to do?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!